This is the Roundtable Talk podcast, brought to you in part by Rayford Guns, the Hope County edition of the North State Journal, the Libra Initiative of North Carolina, and our flagship station, WCLN Christian 105.7. And now here are your hosts, Ruben Castellon and Chris Holland.
All right. Welcome to episode 149. I'm Ruben Castellon.
And I'm Chris Holland, here with the Roundtable Talk podcast.
All right. So I want to come back in time because I think we talked about it very briefly, and it has to do with the who controls what at the state level. And if you recall back, it was billed. What bill was it? It was billed
Like 350?
382, I think. Was that it? Yeah, I think it was Bill 382, where the state auditor was the one that was going to be in control of the North Carolina State Board of Elections, and the Highway Patrol commander was going to fall under somebody else. And basically, it used to be under the governor's office, and some other stuff. But I think the most important one was the who controls the State Board of Elections, because as you know. It's not a secret. Previously, it was under control of the Democrats, and they refused to enforce ID laws. They refused to get rid of the all these voters that are not, they can't vote. Ineligible voters. And finally, it made it up to the state Supreme Court, and they basically said the bottom line is that the state auditor keeps control the law. They basically said that that's, the state auditor under David Bullock, which happens to be a Republican, is going to be the one that's responsible for the State Board of Elections. And I think you said this, the North Carolina Highway Patrol commander, I think, falls under the legislature.
Well, the appointment, I think, is through the legislature now. But, so to caveat with that, so typically, historically, the party of the governor is the majority of the state board, right? Well, the state board filters down to the local board, so if there's a Democrat governor, then the board and county boards of election are majority Democrat. Mm-hmm. So there's been twice since the 1800s that there's been a Republican majority on the State Board of Elections, and we do have it now. And talking about Dave Bullock, the auditor, what the legislature did is they moved the appointment authority out of the governor's control into the control of the state auditor. So next time the state auditor becomes a Democrat, then the boards will go back to Democrat majority.
Yeah.
But that's typically the way it is whatever party is in control or in charge at the time is the majority of the boards.
And you bring up a good point. And this is how it is. Those in power, I've always said that they make the rules. When the Democrats are in power, they'll make the rules. So live with it.
Elections have consequences.
Right? And I just wanted I forgot to say that this. I was reading this information from the North State Journal, the Hope County edition, a very reliable newspaper. I encourage you to subscribe, whether online or I get a copy at my home. Very good information. In any case, what you got?
So I just wanted to talk about the weather. Look outside. This place is about to fall apart. A little bit of rain. I had to go over to Hope Mills this afternoon and got behind somebody, and it started sprinkling, and all of a sudden everybody hit their brakes. We're at a 45 doing like 32. I'm like, what is going on? It's not even wet yet.
Right? I'm looking. I've been monitoring, and it appears that, of course, this is North Carolina. Number one, the weather is subject to change. By the hour, it's subject to change. And so it's, based on the information I've been monitoring, it appears that the hardest day is going to be Sunday.
Correct.
So whatever happens on Sunday, it's most likely going to carry on to Monday, especially when you got freezing temperatures. But it's not as bad as they first claimed that it was going to be. We were going to get a lot of snow. But, all this is subject to change. But it's amazing to me where people panic automatically. Yeah, and this is what happens when North Carolina is not the state like up north or northeast where you got New York, Michigan, Ohio. Those states, they get snow every year, and they don't get 1 or 2 inches of snow. They get feet of snow, so they don't even declare a state of emergency in most cases. They have the equipment, and it's unfortunate that the governor of North Carolina had to declare a state of emergency so the state can have access to equipment, to put the salt liquid on the roads, which you see everywhere. But this is just how it is. So
and like you said, changing by the hour. It was we weren't supposed to start getting rain really until Saturday.
Yeah.
But we're already seeing some effects.
Yeah, so it's gonna. So. I think it's gonna change by the hour. And so I just I think that I don't think we need to panic. Okay, should you prepare? Absolutely. You should have at least enough food for at least a week. Which I think almost everybody does. And so just prepare. And the worst case scenario that can happen, but I know that as time goes by, I know Hope County, the Lumbee River, that's the electric company that manages or provides electricity to the majority of the county, is Lumbee River. And they're very prepared, and I think that one of the things that I've noticed that they've done, that was my biggest concern. Why is it that they don't ever trim
trees along
the power lines? And they started doing that now, and that's a major step forward, because anytime you got big trees on top of power lines and you get ice, you're gonna get power lines down.
Yeah, and especially with the pine trees. So, the way the pine trees, the shallow root system anyway, and all that top heavy weight just topples them over. Excuse me. But, and that's like you said, don't panic. I'm 99% positive all the facilities, Fort Bragg, everybody's going to be closed down Monday.
Oh, you talking about Fort Bragg?
Yeah.
Oh, Fort Bragg is shutting down.
It's probably going home early tomorrow, but that's the way it works. But, and like I said, just, enjoy it. It's kind of unfortunate. It seems like we're on that line where snow stays up north and we get all just rain and freezing rain and stuff like that. If we were about 30 miles north of here, we'd probably get a pretty good snow shower.
I think that, there's two methods of preparing. This is the way I see it. Those that have everything in their house that is powered by electricity.
Right.
Okay, you should have a grill and propane.
Oh yeah.
Because you can still cook it up. But when you don't have that and the power goes out, I remember when I used to live in Westgate. This is several years ago. I don't remember when it was, but it's been several years. And we got hit by it was actually a hurricane that came in. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it turned up to a really severe weather, storm, wind, and all this stuff. And we were out of power for 3 days. Yeah. And it's been a while since that happened. The only good thing that when it happened, it wasn't cold.
Right.
And from that moment on, I said, I need to have a grill that has a propane. Yeah. Because, with a grill that has propane, you can do a lot. Yeah. You can even heat up a room.
No, you can't.
Window open.
I was going to say that. Don't pull it in the house.
Yeah, don't do it in the house. But, I mean, you do have, I don't know what they're called, but you can connect a propane 5-gallon tank.
Yeah, the little heaters.
Yeah, the liter heaters. And, I mean, if you're going to do that, make sure that you crack a window open, something, because, I mean, too much of that can get you sick, But, yeah, don't panic, because one of my coworkers, she was asking me where to get propane, because she had some brand new propane canisters, the 5 gallons. And I told her, I'm not endorsing Tractor Supply here on Rayford. But I do go there quite frequently for supplies. And they're very dependable when it comes to propane. Sure enough, she came back and said, nope, they were out.
They're out. So Rayford Oil down on Prospect also does it. And they fill it up this past summer it was $15 for the 5
That's
gallon
not bad
can.
for. I mean, if it's empty,
It's empty,
that's
yeah.
not bad.
Yeah, it's just a flat $15.
Yeah, that's not bad. But yeah, I say don't panic. However, just be prepared. Unfortunately, it is the winter, and we are expected to starting Sunday. We're gonna get freezing rain, and I think that's even more dangerous than snow,
is, yes.
because that's what can bring trees down, and trees bring lines down, and then you have no power.
Plus, it's deceiving. You can't easily see the ice.
No, you
on
can't
the road.
see it.
You can't see it, so you're like, "Oh, I'm good." And
You don't know it's there until you're going the wrong way.
until you're spinning around in the highway. Exactly.
But anyways,
Well, hey, so January 12th kicked off absentee ballot voting here in North Carolina. So for you guys that plan on voting absentee, you should have either got it in the mail or is en route. The last day to register to vote in the primary, March 3rd, is February 6th. You have to be in there by the close of business, which is 5 o'clock on February 6th. As far as absentee ballots, the deadline to request a ballot, if you want to vote by absentee, is 5 p.m. on the 17th of February. Now, you can go to the North Carolina State Board of Elections website, or you can go downtown to the County Board of Elections office at 227 North Main Street to the Board of Elections office to pick up an absentee ballot request, and then they will mail you a ballot. That was the deadline. So one stop early voting is going to be February 12th through the 28th here in Hope County. We're going to have two early
what
voting.
day is it?
February 12th through February 28th. The two locations are going to be the typical, the normal ones, the Rockfish Community Building out on Lindsay Road, and then the Commissioners Meeting Room up there at Pratt Building.
So I'm looking at the North Carolina State Board of Elections. It says in-person early voting is February the 28th. In-person early voting begins.
February 12th.
So what is the February 28th?
That's the end of early voting. That's a
Okay,
Saturday.
got it. So we got from February the 12th to February the 28th for early voting. And
Correct.
you said there's two sites.
There's two sites. There's the Rockfish Community Building on Lindsay Road for those that live on that side of town, and then you have downtown at the Pratt Building at the Commissioners Meeting Room.
Yeah, the Pratt Building, where you pay your taxes at.
Place that we always vote. But yeah, so there's going to be no Sunday voting during this early voting period. It's Monday through
I like
Friday
that.
from 8 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. So I mean that's a full day. That's
Yeah.
almost 12 hours.
Yeah.
And then on Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. With the polls closing on the 28th at 3 p.m. That's a Saturday. Absentees. I already went over that. February 17th is the deadline to request one. Absentee ballots may be returned by mail, commercial courier, example DHL, FedEx, UPS, in person at an early voting site. You may not return an absentee ballot to a polling place on election day. So if you get your absentee ballot in the mail and you fill it out, and you're like, hey, I'm right next door to Rockfish and it's open for early voting, you can go in there and drop off your ballot. They'll process it and get it to the Board of Elections. However, on March 3rd, Election Day, you have to take it to the Board of Elections. That's the only place you can turn it in. Those ballots have to be into the Board of Election by 7:30 p.m., whether that's coming through the mail or whether that's you dropping them off there at either an early voting site or the Board of Elections. They have to be in by 7:30. There is no more after Election Day
That's right.
ballot counting.
That's right.
Once 7:30 hits, it's done.
Now, let me ask you this. On March the 3rd, that's election day, are all poll sites going to be open?
Yes, all poll sites will be open, and there's 14 of them in the county, so I'm not going to sit here and go through all.
And I say this to say this, okay? So you need to make sure that you know if you decide not to go and vote early between the 12th and 28th of February, if you're going to vote on D-Day, which is March the 3rd, you need to remember, you need to know where your polling site is, because if you go to the wrong one when a minute before it closes down on the day of March the 3rd, you screwed up.
If you're in line at the poll site at 7:30, you will be allowed to vote. However, you come rolling up there at 7:35,
it's
there's
over.
Be a cone, and you can't get past that cone.
Well, but not only that, on March the 3rd, if you go to Rockfish Park
Somewhere else,
or
right.
the Pratt Building, and those are not your designated voting locations for the D-Day, the day of election, then and you're waiting in line, you're still, if you're not on the right location, you're going to miss out.
Right. And so, yeah, I've had that happen. And that's happened out there at Rockfish. We've had people come up late, and I've had people arrive early because on Election Day, I always go down and talk with Board of Elections before everything opens up. But had people show up, and they're like, oh, I'm on the way to work. I need to vote. They're like, where are you voting? Oh, I voted, Rockfish, or I voted in Philippi or wherever. And it's like, well, you got to go that way.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you that this is my preference, okay? I miss, it's been many years when I was, when I started to vote, and I miss my location because I was in the wrong location. And so I waited in line, and I wasn't able to vote, and I was upset, but really, I was upset at the system. But you know what? Now reflecting back, I should have been accepting at myself. Okay, so now what I do is, my practice is that as soon as early voting starts, I just go and vote as soon as I have a day off, because I am not going to wait for the last moment, because I've seen that.
Right.
When I will be campaigning, and I was at the Rockfish on the election day, it was so many people getting upset because they were at the wrong location, and I would tell them, well, this is where you got to go, and they're not going to make it. They're not going to make it.
Yeah, and like I said, it's 2 weeks. It's from the 12th through the 28th. It's from 8 a.m. in the morning till 7:30 p.m. weekdays, and 8 to 3 on a Saturday, on those 2 Saturdays. So, there's ample time if you really want to get out and vote to go and vote. But let's talk about absentee ballots. I think a lot of people are going to vote absentee this time. But we talked about how you can return them. Who can return an absentee ballot other than the voter? Remember, you can always return your own ballot. However, if for some reason you can't, you may only return someone else's ballot if you're a near relative or verifiable legal guardian. Mm-hmm. So a near relative is a spouse, a brother, sister, parent.
So next of kin.
Grandparent, child, grandchild, mother-in-law, father-in-law, daughter-in-law, son-in-law, stepchild, or step-parent.
Verified.
Now, this restriction does not apply if you ask somebody to return your ballot due to your disability. Mm-hmm. So if you can't drive and you're my neighbor, no relation, I say, hey, Ruben, take this to the office.
No can do?
Me. No, you can do.
Oh, you can?
That's the exception.
Okay.
That is the exception. However, if I did that, you would have to fill out a voter assistance certification.
So it's not that simple.
It's not simple.
No.
I would have to fill out that Ruben Castleman is taking my thing and sign the envelope, and then you would take it down. All right, we talked about Tuesday, March 3rd. This is a primary election, so there are some candidates that have already filed that will be on the November ballot. However, you will not see them on the ballot in March. This March primary is to determine in a crowded field, i.e. there's more than the number of candidates is larger than the slots available. Mm-hmm. We are determining who's going to fill those slots on the November ballot. So what you'll see here in Hope County is voters can choose, this is party, you can choose which candidate they prefer on the general ballot. Purpose of the primary election is to narrow the field of candidates. All absentee ballots must be received by the county board. Oh, I did that twice because that's very important, right? Because somebody gets it in the mail, they fill it out, and they throw it on the counter, and they're like, oh, and just whatever. 7:30 p.m. on March 3rd is the deadline.
That's right. No exceptions.
It has to be in the Board of Elections. No excuses. All right. All registered voters in Hoke are eligible to vote. However, voters affiliated with a political party will be given a ballot of candidates for their party.
That's right.
Unaffiliated voters may choose the ballot of candidates for any party. So, being Republicans, we can only get a Republican ballot. Democrat can only get a Democrat ballot. Unaffiliated voters can say, I want to vote in the Democrat primary or I want to vote in the Republican primary. You will then get that ballot. That's the only ballot you can vote. And then you make your choices from that.
So at the local level, just so everybody is in the same sheet of music as I'm understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, but say, let me give you an example. District 48 is our representative. Our current representative is Garland Pierce.
Correct.
He does not have a person running against him as a Democrat, which means that in this primary on March the 3rd, you're not going to see his name.
Correct.
Okay, what you're going to see is you're going to see two Republicans. You're going to see Ralph Carter for District 48, Republican side, and then you're going to have Kirk Lowry, Republican, for District 48. And whoever wins that
Between those two.
will move forward and will be running against Garland Pierce in the general election.
In November.
Okay,
Correct.
now the county commissioners in the Republican side, they don't have a primary because we only have two. So you're not going to see them, but the county commissioners on the Democrat side, there's a total of 3 slots, and there's 5. That means they're going to have a primary.
Yep, they do have a primary.
And it's going to be interesting.
There's some
It's going to be
there's some
interesting.
schemes afoot. We'll see how it turns out for those unaffiliated voters. I'm not endorsing any particular tactic other than go out and vote. And vote your
Yeah,
conscience. That's all you
and
should be
I'm
doing.
going to tell you right now, if you are, and I had this issue, and I'll say it again and again, when we ran back in 2022, and I was able to get in by the grace of God, clearly, and all the work we did. I'm going to tell you this right now, is during that time, shortly after, a week or so later, I discovered that over 4,500 Republicans in Hope County did not vote. So this message is for all Republicans. You need to be active and you need to vote. Okay, it is your civic duty, because if you don't vote, you can't complain.
Yeah, and that's a privilege, but it's also an obligation of
That's
being,
right.
being an American. If we want to protect this form of government, if we want to protect constitutional law and everything else, you have to get out and vote. Make your vote heard.
And I'm going to tell you something right now, and I know I'm going to probably make some people get boo-boo lips, okay? I'm a Christian, and I'm going to tell you this right now. If you're a Christian, it is also your duty to vote conservative. It is your duty to vote conservative, okay? Okay? This thing about, I can't get involved because this is going to be God's will. No. God in the Bible commands us to be involved for our nation. Okay? If you want to keep the nation conservative and not all this woke ideology, Christians, conservatives, Republicans, you have to get out and vote. Because if you want money to come into Hope County, you need to vote conservative. Okay? And because when Dr. Ralph Carter came here the last time, of everything that I heard him say, only one thing stuck to my mind. And it makes sense. The General Assembly is controlled by Republicans. And they freely give money to counties that are what? Republicans. Well, guess what? Hope County is a blue county. This is why we're not getting no money. So if you want Hope County to start getting money, we need to follow suit and...
So not to say that we don't get any money,
but
however, if we have a Republican in the Senate and a Republican in the House of Representatives, the likelihood of getting more stuff passed is higher.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
We have an advocate.
Absolutely. And you know what? Just to add this, because I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Okay, I don't remember what project it was, but I remember clearly it was. I don't know what meeting it was. It was an event or something. I remember. kudos to one of the county commissioners. It was a meeting, and I think all the county commissioners were there. Don't remember the event. I spoke also. Everybody, all the public officials got to speak. And I clearly remember it was a project that the county commissioners were working on. And one of the county commissioners specifically said, we drove to Raleigh.
Yep, I remember that.
And we had a meeting with our representative and our state senator, and we said we here because we need help with financially for this, and that made a major difference. They got the money. I don't remember what the project was, but it wasn't a few dollars.
Right.
It was a lot of money, and so I'm not saying that the current county commissioners are not doing what they need to do, but clearly that works.
Yeah, and that's what Senator Britt said, that, that was the first time that anybody...
Any county commissioner.
that any county commissioners had come forward. But it does, you have to get up there and make your needs known and get up there and advocate for everybody. Let's run through this real quick. I just wanted to touch on it real quick. I was kind of disappointed when I researched this, but so North Carolina is what they call a semi-open primary. You're Republican, you vote Republican. Democrats vote Democrats. Unaffiliated vote for whoever they want. Whoever they choose. A closed primary is Democrats vote for Democrats, Republicans vote for Republicans, and unaffiliated don't vote.
Don't get to vote.
They don't get to vote. Open primary is you walk into a poll, regardless of your political affiliation, everybody's on the ballot. You just vote for whoever you want to.
Okay.
Right? Well, North Carolina, what a lot of people don't understand, how the power of the local party or the state party is the state party, up until 2 years ago, was able to determine what the primary, whether it's going to be open, closed, or semi, right?
Okay.
They just put it in law 2 years ago that it's always going to be semi-open.
Okay.
Meaning what we have now. They codified it in law, which kind of, I'm like, wait a minute, because we remember back during Trump's first term in the primary when they had Clinton,
the Green Party, they had another Green Party.
Yeah, whatever. But anyway, there was a bunch of people unaffiliated across the nation that were talking about, well, everybody vote for Trump because he can't beat Hillary Clinton.
And he did.
Right? And so it kind of backfired on him. But I don't know. I'm kind of torn. It's kind of one of those things because you're electing who's going to move forward to represent your party. Yeah. So if you're not part of the party, I don't know. Like I said, I want everybody to vote, but I want everybody to be part of a party too. Have some.
Well, you know
loyalty.
what? I'm going to tell you that this, and of course, this is my own personal opinion as I see politics, and I'm going to tell you this right now. I respect a Democrat, not for what they stand, but the fact that they stand for something, whatever that is. I also respect a Republican that says he or she is a Republican, and they stand for what they stand. I don't necessarily agree on everything. I'm also a Republican, but I don't agree on everything. I am conservative. Yeah. But I'm gonna tell you this right now. I can't say a lot about unaffiliated people. They're the ones that I call they're at the top of the fence, and they just go with which way. And who was it? Johnny Cash. You got to stand for something, or you'll fall for anything. You got to draw the line, and you got to stand. You got to stand for something. You can't just continue to be wishy-washy.
All right. So remember, you will be asked for an ID. Primarily, everybody has a driver's license. If you do not have a driver's license or one of the other 25,000 forms of ID that are acceptable, you can go to the State Board of Elections or the DMV, and they will give you an ID sufficient for voting.
Or you can also go to the county Board of Elections.
That's what I thought I said.
No, you said the state.
Oh, yeah. County Board of Elections. Or
and you can get a voter ID.
To get a voter ID. Just for those that are wondering, soil and water candidate filing will start on June 13th, ends on July 1st. Candidate filing for County Board of Election begins July 1st and will end July 15th. So there's still more candidate filing here in the summer that we're going to get. A reminder that February 3rd at 7 p.m., Larry Chasen is sponsoring a community or a candidate forum out at the Rockfish Community Center. That starts at 7 p.m. I've invited all the candidates that are on our ballot to come. even the state or the Senate. We'll see how many Senate candidates show up, but we'll see. And then February 19th at 7 p.m., the Hope County Republican Party, as part of our monthly meeting, will also have a candidate forum with all of our local candidates. And I've also put out an invite to the top 3 competitive Senate candidates to see if they'll come down to the county and do a Q&A and meet the voters.
And
all right?
So the last thing I want to put out is very important that we neglect. Make sure you do your work on judges, because judges are also on the ballot. Some judges got primaries. Do your work, okay? Do your work. It's almost any lawyer can run for a judge. That doesn't mean that they're qualified. Make sure that you vote for the most qualified judge, conservative too.
Yeah, and if you want to know information about candidates, go to the Hope County Board of Elections website, click on the left side, 2026 primary, scroll to the bottom of the page, and there's a candidate list. Right now, all it has is county commissioners and Ralph and Kirk. But I'm going to get with them and get the judges, because we have like 9 judges that are actually on our ballot that aren't reflected on the website. So I'm following up with them. But open that list up and Google those names. Go to Ballotpedia, go to their Facebook page or whatever. Be an informed voter.
That's right.
And we will see you at the polls.
Getting to the facts across the state, around the world, and at home in Rayford, North Carolina. The Roundtable Talk Podcast. Brought to you in part by Rayford Guns, the Hope County edition of the North State Journal, the Libra Initiative of North Carolina, and our flagship station, WCLN Christian 105.7. Be sure to like, share, and leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. The Roundtable Talk Podcast.